Continue the conversation with Bishop Rakuba Rakoba, the South African Council of Churches in Gauteng Province representative. A very good evening to you, Bishop. Thank you so much for speaking to us. My first question would be, how would you explain from a spiritual realm this phenomenon of these brazen attacks by criminals inside churches and the kind of thing that happens there? We heard about the desecration of even religious material throughout these actions.
Yes, good evening and good evening to the listeners. May I say just a few things before I come to your answer? Firstly, let us accept that the core business of the church is worship and not a money-making business. And I think for many years, this has been an issue, and people have always looked at the church where we go to church to worship. Our contributions were not intended to make the church rich, but to help the church to do its mission. But now of late, the church has become a place where money is very important. And criminals, seeing that it is very difficult now to go and rob banks and other places without getting backlash from the police, they discovered that the church is a soft target, and they have decided to go to the church and get money. Unfortunately, now in our country, the criminals are very brutal. When they come in the church, when they want money, they don't care who's in front of them. They will eliminate anybody who can be between them and the money. And unfortunately, this is the situation now the church is faced with. We have seen that even the police, they are being guided by security. But thugs, when they want the guns, they just go there and they get them. And my main concern is that once we start now showing a lot of security around the church, we are also going to endanger
Okay,
our
Bishop,
congregants.
I need to stop you because I do want to go to my original question, and I want you, if you can, please, to describe for me from the spiritual realm what you're seeing. But you brought it to a very important point, and that is the kind of activity that takes place within churches that drives churches now. It's in fact criminal activity. So is it perhaps that the criminals outside are seeing that the criminals are now also within the church?
Of course, whenever they come in, they will never just go without knowing where the money is. You will find that within the church, there are some people who will actually have connection with the people from outside, and they will know when they come in the church, they know exactly where to find the money from. So unfortunately, that's the situation.
But it's not just people who are within the church, Bishop. Some of these pastors themselves, with their love of flashy, expensive clothing, accessories, cars, and the huge amounts of money that they fleece from people. This phenomena that's also growing within the church, is this what is also destroying what ordinarily would be high regard for the church, a fear of a place of worship simply because of the eminence it once enjoyed?
Yes, I can share with a story from one guy who said, if you want to become rich these days, go to church. Establish a church and become rich. I mean, look at a lot of some of the people who are leading the churches. They are driving flashy cars. They are buying mansions because there is money in the church. They can make money. And a number of people go into church business not because they want to do what the church is supposed to do, but because they have seen there is money. I mean, look at the guys like Bob Shiri. When he left this country, the man was filthy rich.
Bishop, you mentioned that you don't necessarily support the idea of armed security to guard the church. Why is that? And also, if you could speak on who actually can guard the morality of our church leaders, our worship leaders, if they themselves are involved in such actions and people are powerless to call them out.
Yes, the first thing is the gospel, the Bible. If you read the Bible, it shows what we are supposed to be doing. But if we forget the gospel that we are preaching and concentrate on money, that is where the whole thing goes out of the way. Yeah.
So who will be able to protect us in churches if, and I'd imagine these armed security services are a last-ditch attempt, a desperate attempt to keep worshippers safe, to allow them to be able to carry out not only what is their constitutional right, but what should be, their feeding, their spiritual daily bread.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are in a situation that is really out of control. But when I go to church, my first thing that I think is go and worship and get to the church. When I leave the church, I know my spirit is being uplifted. But if I go to church and I see guns around there, I don't think I'll feel comfortable and ease. That is why some people are saying, I'd rather stay home than to go to church because I'm risking my life.
Is online church the future then? If one is trying to find ways of avoiding such situations?
Maybe when things are going bad, that would be the route. But I still say there's no better worship than being among the worshippers together, singing and communicating. That is the best thing.
So if
in the situation that we are in...
Yes, no, you can finish your sentence, Bishop.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've done what I wanted to say.
Okay, so if you were to speak to those prospective robbers, as it were, right now, people who have such thoughts, what would you say to them? As a spiritual guide, as a spiritual father,
it's very difficult to advise a robber. I mean, he wants money. And if I started to stand on his way, I may also become a victim.
But is there a way not to minister to people who have lost their way? Is there no way to minister to them?
A number of people go into such things because of a number of issues. Sometimes background at home, sometimes life has not become what I wanted to do, and then I want to do that. As a church, we should continue preaching the gospel to the people and teaching them the right thing. But unfortunately, you can see in this country, there's nowhere where there is no crime. Robbery is a daily thing.
It is, and indeed we pray for all, not only lost souls, but everybody out there for their safety. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Bishop. Much appreciated. Bishop Rakuba from the South African Council of Churches in Gauteng.